this week's edition of the Money Puzzle. I'm Rebecca Powers, and this week our planning partner, Family Wealth Planning Partners founding member, Chris Vaughn. Last week, of course, Brian Ramsey. Y'all are kind of taking turns. You wanted to talk this week about the common mistakes that so many of us, and I used to be one of them, the common mistakes that many people make in retirement. You only retire once. It's not like you know, it was a dress rehearsal, and we've never really taught how to retire. Let's talk about those common mistakes and help our friends at home avoid those. Okay,
so we'll start off with one that I actually had this week. I had a gentleman that I know from church, gave me a call, had some questions about investments, but he's running into a sum of money and he's immediately wanting an answer on how do I invest this money? I said, well, it depends on what we want to use it for.
Right. What do you mean?
That's not what I'm asking you. How should I invest it? Well, it depends on how you want to use it for. And you get into this circular argument. And I finally said, okay, let's think about it this way. Let's just say you're going to go out and buy a new car, right? Do you just willy-nilly go out and buy a new car? Or do you say, you know what, I'm going to be commuting on, say, the interstate.
Right.
So I need something that gets good gas mileage and is comfortable to drive, as opposed to going out and buying a Jeep, which is great for off-road, but not necessary for long distance driving. So you buy the type of car that you need based on what you need to do with it. Well, the same thing applies here. If you're purchasing an investment, if you're selecting that investment, what's that investment need to accomplish? So that's why you go back and you develop the plan first. What is it that we're trying to accomplish? What does your lifestyle look like that you want? Now you can start to pick the investments that are going to support that plan. And that's how you go about doing that. And people just, they put the cart before the horse on this one all the time.
Exactly. And the reason you call this show The Money Puzzle is because there's so many different little pieces. But how can you get to that final beautiful picture, that puzzle, if you don't know where you want to go? And I mean, studies will show that we spend more time on planning a 2-week vacation to Europe than we do for the day we retire till the day we die. So how important is a plan? You're a military guy.
Yep.
Prior planning prevents poor performance. That is the rule in every single thing in life, but
Absolutely.
we don't really know how to do it in retirement.
And you made a great point there, Rebecca. People spend all this time planning a vacation.
Yeah.
Right? I just got back from a vacation last week, and we spent a lot of time working on what we wanted to do with the family and all the little idiosyncrasies and things that we were going to do. But the single most expensive thing that you are ever going to purchase is your retirement.
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
It's far more expensive than anything else you'll ever do. Why don't you put the equivocal part or time into that plan?
And much more important.
Absolutely.
Than almost anything you'll do.
And if you get it wrong, if you get the vacation wrong, you wasted a little bit of money, or you went and saw something that you go, wow, that was bad, you know, and it happens. We've all
Grand
been through
Canyon,
that.
largest ball of twine.
Yeah, largest ball of twine. My parents drugged me into oak drug one time when we were kids. So, but in this particular case, if you get it wrong, do you have a way of turning that clock back and redoing it? In most cases, the answer is no. The mistake is already made, and now you just have to fix it as best you can. That's not the way you want to live the retirement years that you've saved so long and so hard for.
Exactly.
Right?
So it all starts with a plan. I think if someone had a magic wand and you want to figure out what does my perfect retirement look like, that is the first thing you need to do at home, right? That's their first assignment. And then you kind of reverse engineer how to get them there.
That's exactly how you do it. That's the old Covey style of solving problems, and that's the way you do it. What does the end goal look like?
Okay.
What do you see that as? And income is the most important part. All the wonderful goals and trips and plans, those are part of it. Those are great. But having that paycheck coming in like you did while you were working, that's where you get that peace of mind. And you know that that lifestyle is going to continue. And that ultimately is what most people want, is they want that lifestyle to continue.
And the first thing you need in any retirement is income. How do you start making that income plan? Well,
we start with a proprietary plan that we came up with called the Risk On, Risk Off Retirement. So it's very simple on the surface. Obviously, as you drill down into it, it gets more complex. But you start off with, okay, how much money do you want to pay yourself every month? So you start off with that. You say, okay, we apply some inflation to that, obviously. Everybody in 2022 found out just how important it is to plan for inflation.
You're right.
But you apply that and you say, okay, now we need to partition 10 to 15 years worth of that into risk-off buckets. And there's any number of different things that you can use that will accomplish that. But you take that investment risk off the table. By doing that, now you get that peace of mind of not being worried. Great example, a couple of different clients that we work with that retired right before the markets took a dive.
Oh, gosh.
And you think, oh my gosh, that's a panic situation. They weren't panicked because they weren't worried. In fact, they were traveling extensively because in both cases, that's what they wanted to do.
And doesn't that make you feel so great? That's why you do this.
That's why I do what I do, is for those moments. When I call up, say, hey, I haven't talked to you in a little while, just wanted to check in, how are you doing? And they don't call you back, and they don't call you back. And then they call you back out of the blue, and they go, oh, I'm sorry, we were on one couple, they were at Annapurna, which is a mountain in the Himalayas.
Wow.
Cool, that's what they wanted to do. Right? And they got to do that. They didn't worry about whether they were going to have enough money or whether their investments were going down because we already had the money that we need for 10 to 15 years.
You had the plan.
Partitioned out. There's no risk in that, no market volatility. And then you can take the money that you need further out than that. And you can do the traditional investments. We're not worried about the risk because of how far away it is.
All right. We're going to take a very, very short break. Give them that number, please, if you would, Chris.
Absolutely. It's 844-900-5210. When you dial that number, you're just going to set an appointment to come in and talk to us, get to know each other. We're not going to sell you anything, I promise. And what we will do is we will build out your plan. We'll look at a probability of success for you, and then we will give you a written plan to take home.
And just some little tweaks here and there. Might just be a second opinion. You may be right on track, and they'll tell you that as well. Stay with us more on how you can make your pieces of your puzzle work for you. Stay with us.
All right, welcome to Friday at the Firm. As always, that's Chris, I'm Brian, that's Eric, that's Aaron. This week I got Penelope.
I really like this one. It's a little bit hard to find. We started out as, 4 guys in 4 different places with their own individual practices, and we realized that if we banded together, we could do things more efficiently, give the client a much better experience, and that's how Family Wealth Planning Partners began.
Outside of work, we love being with our families. We love spending time with our families.
We are all family people. How would we want our families treated? That's the way that we want to treat our clients, and that's the way we want to interact with them. It's not a handshake relationship. It's very much a hug relationship.
The most enjoyable part of our client meetings is the first 15-20 minutes when we're just talking about family. We share our lives with our clients, and our clients share their lives with us. So our clients come to us for lifestyle preservation. That's what we provide them. How do I maintain my current lifestyle throughout retirement?
Well, we're absolutely a planning-centric firm. So everything that we do is rooted around building a comprehensive financial plan for our clients.
Our clients are people who are nearing retirement or in retirement. They've done a really good job saving over the course of their career working. They may have a 401k, they may have an annuity, a life insurance policy or something. So they've done a really good job doing things, but they don't know how to make all of those individual things work together. That's where we come in. We call this the money puzzle.
Our job is to make sure that we put together those puzzle pieces for you so you have a clear, comprehensive plan of what your retirement is going to look like.
The reason why we do what we do is when clients come to us with a messy puzzle, they sit down with us and say, I've got all my pieces that are everywhere. I want to retire. Help me put my puzzle together.
When you bring all those pieces together, that's how you get it into alignment. That's how you bring in that picture into focus.
It's like a light bulb goes off in our clients' eyes, and you can see it. You can visibly see them look at this and say, okay, I get it now. I know how all the pieces of the puzzle come together to complete my financial picture.
We're trying to provide a relationship with our clients that they know that no matter what comes up, no matter what life throws at them, they can come to us and we can provide the answers and the recommendations to navigate those waters.
Welcome back. I'm Rebecca Powers here with one of the founding partners, Chris Vaughn. Okay, we met about a year ago.
Yeah.
And I totally forgot about this bourbon thing.
Fridays at the Firm.
Tell me about, I love that. There's no big box that does anything like that, I assure you.
No, it started off with, there's so many misimpressions, if you will, poor impressions of what financial planners are actually like and what we do. So actually, Brian came up with the idea originally. Let's do a burgers and bourbon podcast. And the whole point is we're going to just rate local burgers and drink bourbon and talk about whether we like that or we don't like that. The burger part kind of died off because by the time we got them back to the office, they were ice cold, which means they were all bad, right? So, but and then we've kind of fooled around with the name quite a few times. But the idea is just to show you, hey, we're real people,
right? Your family, your friends, you and Brian in the green room were just cutting up.
Exactly. We enjoy spending time with each other.
True.
Right? And that's
yes.
that makes for a better environment for the client. It makes for better advice for the client because we don't hesitate to ask each other, okay, let me run something by you. Let me get a second opinion. We do that with each other on pretty much everybody. And because each of us has different experiences and backgrounds, it actually improves the advice that we're giving to the client and makes for just a better circumstances all the way around.
Now, I will let you all know for the disclaimer, they are drinking bourbon after they do.
It's Fridays at the
their
firm
business plans.
after we're done for the week.
After they're done for the week. Where can we see and hear this great podcast?
You can go to our website, fwppartners.com, and everything is posted right there for you.
Okay, fantastic. I love that. So that reminds me, the big box. I can give my personal story. Was with one of those big firm, you know the names, you've seen them on skyscrapers. Didn't know what my money was doing, didn't hear from them for years. Finally look into it. I'm paying way more fees than I ever realized. My risk was way higher. It was one of those eye-opening why I decided to go with independent. Let's talk about the major difference. You are holistic. Mm-hmm. You will reach out to them, like your family that went on a cruise or went to the Himalayas.
Yep.
You are always accessible. You are not treating families like a cookie cutter.
Correct.
This is a vast difference. So I want to really just highlight that.
So when we start putting a plan together for a family or an individual for that matter, it's custom to that individual. It has to be because their hopes and dreams, the lifestyle that they actually want to live in their retirement years is unique. There's no other person like that in the world. So we have to build it up from scratch with each individual person. And then we do apply our proprietary risk on, risk off retirement in order to take that risk off the table so that they can have that peace of mind. But every single person is different, and if you put them in a cookie cutter, you're going to get cookie cutter.
Right. And the relationship is really what I find was lacking.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of the big box places, if you meet with your advisor once a year, you're doing pretty good.
Yeah. I don't even know my guy's name. I literally didn't.
There are some exceptions. There are some clients who actually prefer a little bit less, but most of our clients we meet with 3 times a year, every single year. Each meeting has a very specific cadence that we do, a purpose.
Yeah.
Early in the year, we actually review the plan. It's an opportunity for us to say, okay, so what has changed? What new ideas have come up? Oh, we've got a new grandchild, whatever. To put those things into the plan because you hadn't told us about it.
Right. A new piece to your puzzle.
A new piece of the puzzle. We'll also review to make sure that the estate plan is still in force. Everything's still working correctly on it. You don't want to deal with an estate plan after the fact that it was not done well. I've got a couple of those I'm dealing with right now. And the families are just
torn apart.
They're torn apart because it wasn't set up correctly, and then they brought them to me to have me look. And it's like, okay, I can work you through this, but this is going to be painful.
Right, like probate.
All the different parts, the probates, the trusts, the things not being done correctly, or it didn't do it the way that they thought it would.
Yeah.
And now we can't go back and change that. So we make sure that we go through that with you every year to make sure that it's what you want. Then we have a meeting where we talk about investments and rebalancing their 401k at work and those types of things. And then we have a tax-specific meeting late in the year. A lot of people, taxes are the biggest expense you're going to have during your retirement years.
We never taught that either.
No, nobody ever talks about that. I think Brian looked up a stat that the average person spends $525,000 in taxes in their lifetime.
Yeah, he told me that last week on our show. So, I couldn't believe it.
But if you're going to spend that kind of money, you've got to have a plan for it. So every single year we're reviewing that. Okay, how are we addressing taxes this year? You don't just take your taxes to the tax man.
Right, that's
on April
last
14th.
Year. That's a history lesson.
Exactly.
That happened already.
And say, get me the biggest return you can. No, what you're looking for is you're looking to pay the minimal amount of taxes over your lifetime that you can. And that requires planning. So that's all part of that process, and that happens every year. You're not going to get that in a big box.
And there are a lot of things that you can do, Roth conversions. There are so many tools and I don't want to say tricks, but things that you all do to actually save big tax dollars
Absolutely.
if you plan 10, 20, 30 years down the road.
Absolutely, and we do incorporate their accountant into those meetings.
Gotcha.
That's another
That's
part
good.
of it. You need to be working with a team. You don't want to work with a bunch of professionals, none of whom speak to each other.
Good point.
But they have to be working together and coordinating things so that they're doing what is actually in your best interest. So if your CPA and your attorney and your financial planner are not talking to each other, you're not getting the best possible advice. And that's something we encourage, and we want that to be part of that process.
All right, if you want to start your holistic, comprehensive plan for your perfect dream retirement, this is the number that you need to call. Give them that number and then kind of tell them what that first appointment feels like.
Not a problem. The number is 844-900-5210, or you can scan that QR code down at the bottom of the screen. All you're going to do is you're going to make an appointment to come in and see us, and what that appointment is going to look like is very simple. We're just going to get to know you. You're going to get to know us. Make sure that this is a comfortable situation, that this is going to be in your best interest. Then after that, we're going to put together a probability. What is right now your likelihood of success for whatever your lifestyle is that you're looking for? Then we're going to build out a written, comprehensive financial plan, and we're going to give that to you so that you've got that blueprint to work with. And we're not going to sell you anything. There's no strings attached to any of that.
There really isn't. No cost, no obligation, and they're so transparent. You'll even know exactly what your fees are going to be. It will never be any hidden cost. That often happens in this business as well. Stay with us more in the pieces of your puzzle and how we can make your money work for you in retirement. We'll be right back.
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. After nearly a lifetime on the job, you should be rewarded for all the time you spent working. Whether that's crossing off items on your bucket list, learning a new passion, or rekindling the love of an old one. After all, life isn't over when you stop working. It's the start of an all-new chapter. The one where you're the writer and you get to choose how your story will go. A way to achieve that is by having a clear financial plan to sustain your golden years. The biggest fear most retirees have is if they'll have enough money to maintain the lifestyle they've always enjoyed. Having a plan to help protect you against the curveballs life often throws will help to maintain your lifestyle. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
Welcome back to the Money Puzzle. I'm Rebecca Powers here with Chris Vaughn, one of the founding members of this amazing firm. Let's talk more about mistakes. We kind of led off the show with, in the military, y'all say the 5 Ps, but I'll just say 4 of them. Prior planning prevents poor performance. Yeah. So many of us were not taught to have a plan. We know that's a major mistake. What's another mistake you see people make?
Another mistake that people make is where they're getting their advice from.
Yes.
And it's
the internet.
A very plain. Oh, the internet's wonderful because everything on the internet is correct, right? Now, the things that we see people getting advice from, it is amazing to me the number of people that call in, or existing clients will say, "Hey, I saw an ad on TV for this product." Right? Or, because they want to buy commodities or they want to buy this, whatever. That's not necessarily appropriate for you. Remember, that's somebody trying to sell something.
Exactly.
It's an advertisement.
Right.
They get advice from family and friends. Okay, well, let me ask you a question. If you are, if you've got a knee problem and you need to have surgery done, right? Mm-hmm. Do you call an oncologist? Now, I have no doubt that oncologist is brilliant.
He'll know an orthopedist he can tell you to call.
And yeah, they went to medical school, they did all that, but they're not a knee surgeon. So you need an orthopedic surgeon to deal with the knee.
Yeah.
That's the same thing. You don't go to your neighbor to get the advice on this. You go to your neighbor and say, "Hey, how do you get your yard to look so good? I want my yard to look like that," because obviously they know what they're doing. And keep in mind that the plan that they have, what's appropriate for them, the type of investments that they use are unique to them because their plan is different. So that's a huge mistake that people make, is just where they're getting their advice from. They get it from family, from friends, neighbors, TV, all of those are bad. Professional help. Get somebody and sit down and get to know them and find somebody that you trust that can guide you through this process.
Yeah.
Once you get that part done, everything starts falling into place, and it's amazing the weight that comes off of your shoulders when you know that you've got somebody who is actually putting that together for you and guiding you. and you know the advice is good advice.
Right, and it's the holistic plan.
Correct.
And it's not just your opinion or Brian's opinion or any of your fiduciaries. It is, you also have software.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about that third-party software. Then you could plug those numbers in, and the numbers don't lie.
No, they don't. One of the things that we tell people, we're going to be honest with you. You may not like what we're going to tell you, but at least you know the truth. You don't want to come in 2 or 3 years before retirement thinking you're ready to go.
Right.
And me just say, oh, yeah, you're going to be fine, only to find out that you're not fine.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to say, okay, here's your situation. It's not as rosy as what you're thinking, but it's fixable.
Right.
Let me show you how to put your puzzle together the right way. Maybe you're going to have to make some tweaks here, but we can find ways to make it work for you. And when people get that honest advice, once again, the weight is lifted. It's not what they wanted to hear, but it's what they needed to hear. And now you can actually make that retirement dream that you wanted actually happen by making a few little tweaks like
Smooth sailing.
Yeah.
And look, it's also the other story. I mean, you also have people that you say, gosh, you could have retired last year, buddy.
Yep.
Really? So it's not just that tough advice
right.
or news you have to give. You also have a lot of the happy stories. They didn't realize how well they were.
My favorite meeting that I ever do, and I've done this many times over the years, is when somebody comes in and they say, you know what? I've had it with my boss. I can't take it anymore. When can I retire? And you do the numbers, you use the software, you figure out how you would actually go about building it out, and you sit down with them and you go, today.
Wow.
You could pull the trigger on retirement today. And I've done that many times. Not one time has somebody said yes and walked in and said, peace out. But every one of them has gone back to work with a different attitude.
Right.
Because they know
A spring in their step.
Right.
Yeah.
I can retire today if I've had all I want, if the boss pushes me too far, if the company makes another change that I just can't stand,
Right.
I can say, you know what, guys, 30 days.
I did it my way.
And I'm out. Right? Those are the best meetings. We have tissues in the meeting rooms, and it's for those meetings. Because those are really, really good tiers.
Absolutely. So I love when you get the plan and it's in this beautiful binder. You have it. It's so good for your children. And like my daughter our 15-year-old daughter knows where our plan is. How important is that to keep the peace? You've seen families destroyed.
Yep.
From mom wanted this. No, she didn't. She wanted that. Oh, and that's not what dad said. How imperatively important is it for you to get a plan for your children?
It's critical. And it needs to be in writing because then there's no debating.
Exactly.
Especially when you're dealing with wills and trust, things of that nature. It's not what you told everybody you wanted. It's what you put in writing. When you get into end-of-life scenarios, people aren't thinking straight. Right?
You're so
dealing with
devastated.
the loss of a loved one or a horrible disease or any number of things like that. You are not thinking about who was supposed to get what.
Right.
Or who wanted this to do that.
Or that one sister-in-law is thinking about what she can get,
Yes.
and it makes you really...
And how she's going to sneak in and get that.
Yeah, it can be terrible.
If the plan, both the estate plan, the financial plan, if they're in writing,
Right.
then there's no question what you wanted. It's done. You signed off on that and said, yes, this is what I want. This is what I want to happen. It eliminates all those problems.
And another thing about the personal relationship, and you have an easy-to-reach office in Louisville, you can always tweak. For instance, if you divorce someone and you forgot and you left your ex-wife's name as your beneficiary and then your new wife, I mean, this happens.
We've seen that happen.
Really?
Yes, we've seen that happen. Brian actually had a client many years ago there was $1 million life insurance policy. They divorced. He remarried, life went on, but he never got the beneficiary change. He passed away, and Brian was on the team that had to
Clean up the mess.
Clean up the mess, and they called her and said, do you want to not inherit this money? I'll give you one guess what she said.
No.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that kind of stuff happens, but
Right.
it does. And that's why that's part of one of those every year meetings that we do is to make sure it's right. I had a client that we actually found her power of attorney, financial power of attorney, was for her former best friend. I stress the word former. You have to get those things. That's the reason we do those every single year.
When you do that first, I call it the third-party reports, how does it expose the fees? Because that was what was upsetting to my husband and me. Oh, we're not paying hardly anything. And it was like $27,000 in a short amount of time. We were like, wow, I feel so dumb right now. How does it bring all that to the surface? Your true risk and your true fees.
Well, first of all, we're going to go over the fees right up front. If you choose to engage us in a long-term planning relationship, here's what we're going to charge you. Here's how we're going to do it. Here's when we're going to do it. There's absolutely no question about it.
But I mean when they walk in the door, what they're doing now. Like here I am. Now,
Oh, on their current statements.
yeah, their
Okay,
current
so
and past situation.
we can
That's
show
what was
you
upsetting to
on those
us.
statements. So that's where, frequently people will come in and they'll bring a stack of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go through that. One of the things that we can show you is how to read those.
Gotcha.
So that you can find where the fees are. Here's where there's a fee that's popping in. Here's a different type of fee that's coming in.
Commissions.
Exactly. So we can go through all that with you and show you what you're really paying. Some people will call it a net return on investment after taxes and after fees, because you don't really care what
Right.
you got, what you made before the fees. You cared about what you made in total
Right.
and how it applies to your plan. So yeah, we'll show you how to do all of that stuff with where you are now, and we'd show you how you do it with us.
And I know that your philosophy really is more fee-based. You're not interested in the commissions. You're interested in the relationship and a set fee like you'd pay an attorney or a dentist. We are already out of time today. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to give you the last minute. Tell them what they can expect, how to come in, and how to give us a call.
Absolutely. So one more time, call 844-900-5210 or scan the QR code at the bottom of your screen. All you're going to do is make an appointment to come in and see us. There's no sales pitch. We're not going to try to sell you anything, I promise. You'll come in, it's a very relaxed environment, and all we're going to do is get to know you and you get to know us. Find out if this is going to be a good relationship for you. While we're going through that, we will do an assessment of your existing plan. What is your probability of success, whatever you determine success to be? Then we're also going to give you that written plan so that you'll have the instructions right there. This is what you're going to need to do to achieve the success and the lifestyle preservation that you want.
Absolutely. And I would suggest, especially for you gentlemen, make your appointment at 4:30 on a Friday, and then you can stick around and maybe get free bourbon.
It's possible.
It's possible. And maybe you'll be shown on their podcast for their show. I just love that y'all do that.
We actually have had people show up for that.
They have?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You're like radio celebrities now, too. You're like,
We had a guy that none of us knew who he was, and we didn't realize that. He came in and just participated. Then we all said, "Who was that?" I don't know. I thought you knew.
I thought you knew him. I thought you knew him. That is so cute.
We have a good
All
time
right.
with it.
That's awesome. I need to come to that next week, by the way.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you again next time. Hope you learned something. We love you at home, and thanks again.